Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the podcast. I'm Morig.
And I'm Lover's Lance, and today we're talking about Pivot of Hearts, an upcoming romance visual novel from DragonRoll Studio. This visual novel explores identity, nerdiness, and romance with a bit of a nostalgic feeling.
With us today we have Will, the game's lead developer, Maki, the sound director, and Lívia, the art director. Welcome everyone. Can you please tell us more about yourselves and your roles in developing the project?
Sure. I can start. I'm Will, and like Mark said, I work with the programming, but as the other Maki and Lívia will also explain, we actually divide the work of writing the game since it's a visual novel, so there's a lot of writing. So the three of us write the game, but I also work with programming whenever it's necessary. And since we are a very small studio, we also have to do lots of things outside game developing, so we all have many hats, but the main title it's this one. I'm the programmer, basically.
This is something I've noticed. It's quite common in small game development studios that parts of the work have to be shared between all the members, basically.
Lívia, go ahead and tell us about yourself.
Okay, hi, I'm Lívia. I'm the art director, so I did most of the illustrations and character sprites in the game, and also wrote a lot of scenes, since, like Will said, we gotta wear a bunch of hats. I sort of have a background in animation and storyboarding, and yeah, I always wanted to do a visual novel, so when Maki sort of invited me to join this project, it was like, yay, I finally get to do it. And yeah, I think that's it for my part in the game.
Your visuals are very pretty. I just wanted to mention that. And Maki, you can go ahead and tell us about yourself.
So hi, I'm Maki. I'm sound director for the game, and I did all the music and the sound effects. There are some tracks that were made by that were made by other friends we commissioned, and I also write the script, since all three of us do that, and we also do the translation for the script in Portuguese, and I also made the UI design. I think that's it.
Indeed, many hats. And since the three of you write, I think it's time to talk about the story. So, Pivot of Hearts follow when a game developer who reconnects with someone from his past and meets someone new. Could you please share a summary of the story for our listeners who haven't played the game yet?
Alright, so Wen is a Taiwanese-Brazilian programmer, and he's in a very dark moment of his life, like he's very alone and distant from his friends because of something that happened in his past regarding relationships that will come up along the story. But right now, what happens is that an old friend calls him to play a parody of Dungeons and Dragons over the weekend, and there he will also reunite with another old friend which he has some unfinished business with and complicated feelings. At the same time, at work, he works as a game developer just like us. A new guy joins the game development team, and they get along together very well, so something new starts to spark over there as well, and two new encounters in his life start to bring his life back, and he has to question a lot of things because of that. And the story is very nerdy, so it has like I already said, there's like Dungeons and Dragons, and they are game developers, so they like to play like Smash Bros, and they like to watch anime, and they talk about all these things. So there are lots of references, especially to people who are close to the character's age, who are millennials basically. They are probably be very familiar with their hobbies and interests. And well, these two connections develop over the game, while Wen tries to reconcile with his past, with the things that he missed and he regrets. And well, some things will happen that he will then have to make new choices and see if he can find his own happiness in this new opportunity.
I just want to say the story feels extremely familiar because I used to be a game developer that was very into Dungeons and Dragons as well.
Really?
Great.
Yeah, I think this.
Yeah, I used to be a level
Oh.
designer
That's cool.
back in
Same
the day.
here. We used to work together, and I used to be an animator. Like I still am, but as a hobby at this moment.
You know the suffering of animating.
But yeah.
Yes, we know. We know.
So we can all bond over
So,
that.
yes, exactly, and that's why I like that game very much because it just reminds me about the times that I was new in the team, so I had to meet everyone. We were going out for beers and stuff, and yeah, it was very
After
exciting.
the hours at the office, those scenes in the Pivot of Heart just felt so familiar.
Before pandemic times.
Before pandemic times.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh
we used
God,
to work together.
I miss that.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, that makes us very happy to hear that because we were really going for that familiarity thing for people to be like, oh, I do that. I know people like that. It was like one of the things we were going for.
Yeah, it's perfect. And it just so happens that we are the exact demographic it's made for.
Yeah. And I also I want to say that Morig is one of the best dungeon masters that I know in my life. So
Really?
yeah, we played a lot of
Thank
D&D
you
with
for
him.
that. I'm happy with my abilities if my players
Yes.
are praising me.
Yeah.
I think Will has had some experience as a dungeon master as well, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes, that's actually many of the things we brought into the game had this dual goal of both being familiar to the players, but also since it's familiar to us, it would kind of save us work learning new things. So since I already play a lot and I DM a lot RPG, so let's put this in the story because I can write about that, right? I know.
Yes, exactly. Write what you know, as they say.
Exactly.
Yes, and well, in the full game, then you'll probably have a lot of fun with the RPG scenes.
So, as we mentioned, the game has a lot of nerdy themes from the tabletop games, which we will talk more about later on, and the nostalgic references to anime. What was it like creating a romance visual novel like Pivot of Hearts with all these themes?
I guess like what Will said, this sort of write what you know thing was sort of a strategy, but it kind of became a feature of the game, and we kept like pouring into it things that we loved. Especially in my case, I put in a lot of anime references for stuff that I grew up watching, like Saint Seiya and Sailor Moon, and they're usually not like explicitly stated, but mentioned in a way that people who know will know. So I think that was kind of a strategy to get people to really connect with these characters, to feel like they're close to them. So I think nostalgia is definitely a big factor in touching the heart of the players and getting them to open up and be willing to like engage with the story. And I think some references will be like specific to Brazilian millennials maybe, because I guess the sort of TV show that was really popular here and not necessarily the same as in other places. There's also several elements of Brazilian culture that may be like brand new information to international players.
Yeah, but it's nice to learn new things from other people's perspective after all.
Yeah, I hope so.
Learning about cultures and whatnot. But yes, the whole game does feel very personal and like you've built it from your own experiences.
Okay, then let's talk about our protagonist. When he's shy, a bit socially awkward, and a classic programming nerd, yet he's deeply introspective. How did you approach writing such a sensitive, reserved character and still make his emotional journey feel active and compelling?
Wow.
We are all very sensitive people who are very... Just kidding.
Yeah, we try to be very generous with him because if you are very strictly talking, you guys played the demo, right? So you know what he did in the flashback with Etsuko. He was a bit of an asshole with her.
just about that, I want to mention you put on the option to tell the truth, but made it impossible to choose that, and I was just clicking on that, and I was like,
Same.
I know I can't, but I'm going to be stubborn for 1 minute until I'm forced. to
Yeah,
not
because
doing it.
Wen didn't have like the emotional resources to be honest at that moment, so we wanted to really hammer that in.
You did great. Actual frustration on that part, I love
You're like,
it.
no, I don't want to gaslight
Yeah,
her.
so like
I have no choice.
Yes, because he was just a kid, right? And it's so the story is we try to look like this guy. This guy isn't particularly a hero, someone nice. He has lots of defects, lots of problems. But then the story is about him learning those things. So we think that might help with, because we all struggle with things. It's hard. We want to be nice to everyone. We want to get along with everyone, but it's not easy. And I think what comes into play here, specifically for Wen, since he's the protagonist, is the card mechanics. Because I don't know if we're gonna talk more about that later, but to summarize here, they reinforce this idea that he is struggling. And since, like Morig said, the player feels the frustration, so the player can feel how hard it is for him to try to get along with people and make the hard choices and balance everything in his life. So we try to make the players kind of feel like what the protagonist is feeling, given his own limitations. And well, he has reasons for those limitations. Besides being a kid back then, the fact that he is a Taiwanese-Brazilian has some cultural implications. That his family, for instance, has lots of conservative expectations on him. So like, oh, you wanna get married and have kids, and then you have to be rich, you have a good job, and have a good car. So he carries a lot of that with him, and that becomes clear over the game as well.
Okay, I didn't actually think from a cultural perspective, because I wasn't familiar with that. Thank you for telling us.
Also, welcome to the Balkans, where if you're not a doctor, lawyer, or an engineer, you don't have a future. So my mother used to tell me, oh, computer games are not gonna feed you, and computer is not gonna feed you. Well, look at me, Mom. Look at me now.
The computer is feeding me.
Yes.
Yeah, I think this is a common thing here as well. That not that many families will be supportive of careers that are not the super traditional way. And in particularly, the Taiwanese-Brazilian community seems to be very close to the church and very religious. So there's a lot of expectations around that and gossip. So it's really, I guess there's a lot of pressure to, meet the expectations and put out a good image of your family. So Wen carries a lot of that.
Yeah.
But, the thing about Wen that I think is interesting when writing him is that he seems like this very serious guy, this very rational guy, kind of a square. But in many moments in the story, he sort of catches himself by surprise. Like he's having this train of thought. And then suddenly he'll blurt out something that he wasn't planning to say. And he'll be like, did I just say that? So I think he has this thing that despite carrying a lot of expectations and being kind of a serious guy, he's also kind of unexpectedly in touch with his instincts in a way, which I think is also reflected in like the crazy dreams that we wrote for him. And yeah.
Yeah, we experienced one of them in
Yeah,
the demo.
there's many more to come.
I saw from the teasers at the end of the game, and some of those. Oh, that has to be a dream sequence when I saw it.
Let's see. Probably.
Maybe the monsters come real. I'm not sure.
Very, very soon we're going to see that.
Yes.
I wanted to ask, since I very much liked Wen, but are you guys planning on adding a female protagonist option?
Well, probably not for Pivot of Hearts because the game is already done. But we really want to make other projects that would definitely consider having a female protagonist, or maybe even a spin-off of Pivot of Hearts with a female protagonist.
Okay, that sounds interesting. So you do have some ideas for the future, maybe.
Yeah, they're still very primitive, but yeah, we definitely want to have more projects, new projects.
We kind of talked about maybe having a spin-off focusing on Barbara, I don't know what it will be, but there was an idea we had. So that might exist someday.
Man,
that
this
would
would
be
be very cool. Yeah.
Like, we'd love to show her
I
crazy
mean, I
adventures.
really connected to. Yeah, I really connected to her. Like, I used to be just like her in my teenage years, like changing my hair color every other week. And I also really liked Ramona Flowers as well. So I guess they're the same people.
Okay, so I want to ask about, and forgive me if I pronounced the name wrong. Cauã, did I get
Yeah,
it?
that sounds
Did I get it
perfect.
on the first try? Oh
That's
my god!
Yay.
So
Good job.
he's Wen's new coworker and the art director for the games project. And I want to ask how, and he's very confident and this outgoing kind of person. How does his presence affect Wen, and what can players expect from their dynamic?
Go, Lívia.
Yeah, what I'm the Cauã expert here. Like, at first, Cauã seems like the total opposite of Wen, like where Wen is more introspective. Cauã seems to be outgoing and makes friends really easily, but they quickly find out that they have a lot in common, especially their love for Warriors of the Horoscope, which is a parody you can probably guess what of. And Cauã is actually also a very sensitive guy and is this warm presence that helps Wen feel more confident and feel like he's also someone fun to be around, which was something he had sort of lost sight of as he drifted apart from his friends in the past. So he sees that they're not that different and they really connect unexpectedly, and it turns into this sort of bromance that may or may not become something else. He's actually a very, very fun character to write. Sometimes I'm like, oh, he's too nice. He needs a bit of poison, but yeah.
I know people like that. I legit know people like that. So I didn't think at any moment, oh, he's too nice. No, he did feel like someone
I'm glad.
that exists, a real person.
Yeah, and he
My-
was very charming as well, so I liked him very much. He doesn't need poison. We don't have to have poison in every love interest. Come on.
Yes, I
Leave
agree
the
with
guy
that.
be. Leave the guy be a
We'll
good
let them
boy.
be
That's
wholesome
fine.
good boys.
It's perfectly fine. Yes. You can always add a bad boy. Like, I enjoy them as well, but he's fine like that.
Yeah, I mean,
Actually, my favorite moment with him was the karaoke.
yes.
Because I was in those exact same shoes once
Really?
in my life.
Were you when? Did you get dragged into
may-
karaoke?
I was when our boss brought us to karaoke to celebrate Christmas. And everyone had to go, but I was an absolute coward, so I went like almost last. And I was singing Fear of the Dark by...
Cool.
Yes. And at one point, two of my friends just come up next to me, hold up the mic, and start singing with me. And that moment, I actually got into the song.
I was watching this scene happening, and it was beautiful. That's what I'm gonna say. It was beautiful, like a true friendship.
Yes.
Saving the
I'm
day.
really glad you guys enjoyed it.
So
It's good to have friends that will back you up in
that
that
was-
situation.
thank you so much. That scene in the game was basically nostalgia for me.
Like the whole game, it's very good game, very good game. Thank you guys for creating this thing. Like it hits
Yay.
places. Like it hits places a lot.
Thank you for playing.
But of
You're
course.
welcome. Of course.
Let's get back to the characters. I need to talk about Barbara because I like her very, very much. So she's an old high school friend that turned alternative, outgoing, powerhouse. She's chaotic in the very best way and totally different from Wen. So what makes their connection spark? I mean, Barbara and Wen's connection. And how does her bold personality shake up the narrative?
All right. So, they actually have this very typical interaction. I don't know if you guys will probably know this expression. They are very Tsukomi characters, right? You understand that? It's very nerdy.
Yes.
Okay, so she keeps doing crazy stuff, and Wayne's there like, no, stop that! You're being stupid, and they this is the kind of like the surface dynamic they have, but deeper down they are actually are always there for one another. So Barbara is like always keeping an eye out for all of her friends, especially when, because she knows that he gets along very easy. In fact, she calls him at the start, she sends him a message at the start of the game because she knows he's isolated and she wants to help him reintegrate with other friends. So she's always trying, sending messages and sending memes to him. She's always trying to keep him close because she knows that if she does not do that, he will drift away and never come back. So in her own way, making fun of everything being chaotic, she's also very supportive and caring, but she will not show that ever.
Yeah, I think
In her own way.
I think it's like their bond is pretty important to the story because like nothing in the story would have happened if Barbara didn't like reach out to Wen. So she's kind of the sparking incident. And I think it's really important to show that their bond of friendship is like just as important as Wen's possibly romantic interests. I think this is one thing that her role isn't like smaller than the love interest in the story. And I think that's kind of important.
Yes, it starts getting to the topic of non-monogamy because there are actually many. I'm sorry if I'm explaining it, but since I believe there's an audience, there are many kinds of non-monogamy, and some kinds state that it's important to value all relationships we have and find a balance in all of them. And that is something we try to convey through Pivot Apart, especially in cases like Barbara being a good friend and supporting some key parts of the story. But then again, also through the card mechanics and other stuff, we are to really drive home this idea that we need many people in our lives to really have everything we need.
You always, sorry, I just want to say that, Morig, but
go ahead.
An introvert always needs an extrovert to go and adopt them and carry them everywhere they go.
Yes.
So this is how I understand their relationship, and I believe that I'm on the right path there.
Yeah, I think so.
I was just going to say basically the same.
Okay, so we're on the same page here.
Yes.
Like you being the introvert and me being the extrovert in that situation.
Yes.
You guys are
Oh, I
Wen
have
and
too many
Barbara.
extroverts in my life. I bet.
Yeah. There's nothing like too many extroverts, Morig. Nothing like that.
Yeah, I'm so tired. Stop it. So, in the game, they play a tabletop RPG reminiscent of Dungeons and Dragons. I think it was called Castles and Champions. Am I
Yes.
remembering correct? Okay. Really love that wordplay. Will, you already mentioned you play Dungeons and Dragons, but what about the others? Have you ever tried it?
I played a little bit, like a couple of one-shots with my friends. I think we did one kind of longer campaign. I was like a fighter. That was all charismatic and lawful good.
Hey, I started as a fighter as well.
I did like a character that was inspired on Lady Beard, who was my idol, but he wore like a armor and had a big sword. That was my longest
Nice.
D&D experience.
Yeah, I also played some campaigns that Will was the dungeon master. My longest campaign was a D&D campaign with Will being the dungeon master as well. But I've also played a lot of one-shots from other more obscure RPGs like Ryutama, Paranoia, Blaze in the Dark, Shadow Dark. That's the name, Will.
Yes, Shadow Dark.
Yeah, we've got to play some other systems as well.
Okay, I actually haven't heard about those. I've heard about more of the famous ones like Call of Cthulhu and all of the World of Darkness games. So, what would you say is your guys' favorite class to play as? I mean,
For me, it's very often one of the mages because what I really like in a character, not in the like the blaster sense, I like mages that like they have an answer for everything. They are a suicide.
utility spellcasters.
Yes, because I like having an answer for every situation. I mean, so I usually favor those kinds of classes.
I think I prefer the more melee classes, but just because I don't have patience to read spells, so I just like to go and swing a sword and be over with it.
So barbarian fighter, those kinds.
Yeah, and also agile kinds, because I like to go first.
So
because
rogue.
I don't like waiting. So yeah, I like to hit and be quick.
Hit them with the stick. Hit them harder. That was my last experience with playing a druid. Like, my character was a small, not fey creature, but we call it Samudiva, which is like a forest creature, forest spirit, yeah, of a young girl. And in my case, it was a 14 years old girl with a big stick. And for some reason, she used to hit hard, like kill everything on sight. So very funny. So what about you, Lívia? What do you prefer to play? Is it again melee?
I think I'm also more similar to Maki in that way, that I would rather just have a big sword to hit the enemies with. I also don't have the patience to look up spells. Just go straight forward, big sword solves everything.
A lot of people here just love hitting things, it seems. Well, I'm more on your side. I play Artificer mainly. That's my favorite class. I just love the mad scientist team of throwing potions and devices at your allies to buff them in fights.
That's a
I
good one
like
too.
Warwalks. Warwalks are nice. They're sassy.
You play a Warwalk in one of my campaigns.
Yes, I do, and I play Warwalk in Baldur's Gate as well. It's Eldritch Blast all the way, every time. So you can be a spellcaster and don't have to read spells, since you're using only one of them all the time.
That sounds good.
So if you want to try spellcasters, try a Warwalk. It's fun. So next question. It's the cat question time. I really loved Luna, and to me she felt like a spiritual guide with a twist. Like to our listeners, I wanted to say that Luna is Barbara's cat. So without giving away too much, how does Luna play into the story and the whole tarot system?
Yeah, she will often because there's kind of two Lunas. There's the real cat Luna that is just a pet, but then when has these dreams over the game, they're kind of like Lívia said, like Wayne has this intuition inside him that he wants to do something, to do things differently, and inside these dreams that he starts to get, Luna always shows up and tries to bring out this more rebellious side of him. So, for instance, in the first dream that shows up in the demo, she convinces him to become a magical boy. So it's kind of like a sort of coming out for him as well. That realize that he wants to be something like that too. And she keeps popping up like this symbol that, hey, Wen, you actually want to do it different, don't you? But then there are dreams that she fails, there are dreams where then she succeeds, and over the many dreams, what will happen is that when we get slowly closer to an answer to what he wants to do with his current situation. And she's there exactly to be a spiritual guide to him.
But also...
sorry to interrupt you.
No,
Go ahead.
It's okay. I was just going to say that it's also a parallel to the magical girls genre, where there's an animal which the characters make a pact with and gain their powers.
Yeah, I wanted to say that you did a great job with conveying Luna's character as a spiritual guide. That's exactly how I felt in the dreams, yeah.
Also, yes, I did notice that reference. The first time when saw the cat, he did straight up bring out that now you're entirely a magical girl, Barbara.
Yeah, but yeah. Lately, these mascots in magical girl anime have been less nice, right? But Luna is not like Kyubei from Madoka. She's a decent mascot. She's not evil.
She's a good one. Yeah, one of the good ones. Not the ones that will get you
exactly.
killed.
Not the ones that will suck out your strength and feed it to entropy or something.
So one of the classic ones. Okay, next I want to ask, so Etsuko is another one of Wen's high school friends, and they've lost touch over the years, but are now reconnecting through Barbara's tabletop RPG campaign. What makes their connection important, and what can you tell us about their past, present, and future?
Wow, there are a few points where they connect. First, she kind of mentions it, but they were already playing lots of tabletop RPG back in high school. Him, Etsuko, and Barbara, and that kind of stopped because something happened, and that was when drifted away. But also they have some other connections. There will be a flashback scene later in the game where Wen has a rare moment where he's kind of brave and firm and helps her in the past, so they start bonding there. But then, as high school went by, they also started to bond, for instance, because they are both Asians, though they are not from the same place. So Wen's one side of the family is from Taiwan, and Etsuko's family is from Okinawa, which is one of the provinces of Japan. But they all being here in Brazil. I don't know if you guys know this, but Brazil has the largest Japanese immigration group in the world.
Actually, I had no idea, no.
Yeah,
That's
me
interesting.
neither. Why? Why did that happen historically speaking?
Because over 100 years ago, in the beginning of the 20th century, Japan and Brazil made an agreement to bring Japanese immigrants because there was something, I don't know the exact detail, but they weren't finding work there in Japan, so they would find work in the farms here in Brazil. And so they signed this deal, and many immigrants came from Japan to Brazil over many decades. And I don't know, many things happened. It was not cool to the Japanese immigrants. Because Brazil was one of the last countries to prohibit slavery. It was like the end of the 19th century. So basically these immigrants, together with Italian and German immigrants, they kind of tried to replace the slaves with very low-paying labor. So it was very bad. But the Japanese, they kept their culture and their bonds, so many of them escaped and formed communities, and they tried to survive together, which was not possible with the slaves because they deliberately separated them back then. Oh well. But then lots of things happened, and nowadays, if you come here to São Paulo, it's very common and very normal to see Asian people on the street in all places. We are kind of like a third or fourth local population here in this region of Brazil. There are other regions of Brazil, but São Paulo has most of them. And today we also have Koreans and Chinese and Taiwanese, but the Japanese were historically the largest group. And well, that's another reason why Wen and Etsuko bond over, because I myself, being a half Japanese man, I grew up, I only realized later, but we do feel separate from what we consider white people here in Brazil, because white people in Brazil, it's different from white people in other parts of the world.
Yeah, because of the warm sun stuff, I guess skin gets darker.
Not just that. I think what is considered white and what is considered non-white is quite different, and the amount of people who are mixed race here is very big. So it's definitely not as clear cut as, say, in America, for example. But yeah.
In America, all of us are white. We are all at best, we are Latinos.
Yeah, America is a bit weird,
crazy
let's be honest.
They don't understand that you can be Asian and Brazilian, or white and Brazilian, or mixed race and Brazilian. They think, well.
Yeah. By the way, it's very, very common here in the Balkans as well to be a kid of a mixed, not in that case race, but mixed nationality. So most of my friends are half Polish, half Ukrainian, I'm half Russian, so it's a thing.
Quarter Macedonian.
So yeah, what we were talking about? We were talking about Barbara.
Etsuko
Yeah,
and
right.
Etsuko and Wins.
No, Etsuko and
Sorry, my bad.
And Wensbaum. Being raised as an Asian man, I realized later in life that we do have this separation to the Brazilian white people. So, and in my case, I grew up with no other Asian friends, basically, and since I'm half Brazilian, most of my family interactions were with the Brazilian side of the family. So only when, as an adult, that I was able to find more Asian people, and only then start to see the similarities we have in our habits, in our families, in our values, and the things that makes you feel like, okay, I'm normal too. There are other people like me and things like that. And when in Etsuko, they find that in each other because they are together in a school where there aren't many Asian people, so they bond over that as well, and they start questioning things. Mostly Etsuko is more questioning, but then she makes Wen think about things more critically. So they have this dynamic.
She takes a lot of care of him, basically. Well, she used to when they were in high school. Or at least that's how I saw it. Like, she cared a lot about him, just like family.
Yeah,
like a
she
sister,
cares a lot,
in a way.
but she also like challenges him a lot. Like,
Yes, I noticed that specifically when she just straight up blocked him from running
Yeah.
away and kept pressing
she
the
can get
questions.
physical. She's not gonna accept like rules that don't make sense to her or things that like she has her own way of thinking, and she's not gonna just accept any lame excuse. She wants like honesty and sincerity.
That's my people. That's my people. Great thing. So, without spoiling too much, I wanted to ask if there are any future romance road plans or potential love interest beyond the two core characters we explore in this discussion. So can players expect new dynamics to open up in later chapters?
I think for the romance routes on Pivot, we're gonna sort of be limited to Etsuko and Cauã in that way. In a way, we sort of wanted to subvert, this common trope in dating sims where there's one usually male character who's the main character, and he gets to romance dozens of girls, and the relationships between them don't matter. So we really wanted to focus on these three characters and the kind of bonds that could develop between them, as well as the friendships, and even like work colleagues and family relationships and how they influence their lives. But yeah, that said, I would love to do a spin-off based on Barbara where we follow her own love life. Maybe someday.
Maybe as a DLC, maybe as a separate game, but it does sound very tempting.
Yeah.
Like something I would definitely try.
I would love to try it, and when you guys do it, because I think you're going to do it at some point, we can come here and talk again about the same thing, but from different
or any other future
perspective.
project.
Yeah. So I think it's gameplay time, right?
Yes. So I want to ask about the tarot-based choice mechanics. It's such a cool system, honestly. How did you come up with the idea, and why did you decide to base it on tarot exactly?
All right. So the idea of using cards as a part of the game aesthetic first started with the game name itself. It kind of follows up a couple steps. So Pivot of Hearts, the word pivot has a certain meaning in non-monogamy, which is the person that has more than one relationship. So that person is like a pivot in that group of relationships. So, and then we came up with the name Pivot of Hearts because it sounds like a card, like King of Hearts or Jack of Spades, so it kind of sounds like a card. So Pivot of Hearts, and then it would be cool if we also used cards in the game. And we made some research. We brainstormed some ideas. We had some inspirations from other games that are a bit some are farther away from visual novels, but still very narrative-heavy games. Like, for instance, Discollision. They have this very RPG way.
Such a good game.
Yes. So we wanted to make the choices in the game more interesting. So we came up with this idea that we saw that in tarot, it was one of the things we researched. We had some consulting people as well. In tarot, each suit has a meaning that has to do with one of your ways of dealing with life. So you can be rational about things, or you can just power through and lower your head and keep walking. You can be creative, or you can be more empathetic, more emotional about it. So these are the four suits. I don't remember which order I said it, but so spades is tied to logic, diamonds is tied to effort, clubs tied to creativity and being impetuous, hearts is tied to emotions and understanding other people's emotions. So and in tarot, what you really want is a balance of all the things. You don't want to focus on one. It's not like a build. You focus on one thing and you get good. No, you want all the things in your life. And again, that reflects what we value in non-monogamy, which is having a balance in life of different kinds of relationships, different kinds of people that each give you something different. So we wanted the gameplay to convince the player to have a little bit of all the suits, and the way that interacts with the narrative is that sometimes you have to, instead of talking to Etsuko, talk a little bit with Barbara, and Barbara will give you maybe some clubs because she's very creative, and then at work you talk to Bia because Bia is very smart, so you get some spades, and then sorry, I'm just recovering from a cold.
No worries.
You wanted those choices to reinforce the message of non-monogamy in the game, so the player has to find this balance, and at some point that the player and when the character makes the connection that he needs that balance in his relationship, not only in the cards. And well, the way we try to make that balance work was that there are two kinds of choices in the game. There are a few exceptions, but there are basically two kinds of choices. There are the choices that give you points in a suit when you spend your free time or your work time doing one thing or another with this person or that person. So they are not very impactful choices in the story. It's more like what does Wen feel like doing, and that gives him these emotional points. And then there are the hard choices when Wen has to get out of his comfort zone to do something that he thinks is important, and then he has to spend the suit points he got so far. And maybe he won't have enough, or the player will want to save those points, so they can always choose to be lazy or even be an asshole about it a bit, because they don't have the energy, the disposition to do it at that moment. Mm-hmm. And that goes back to that thing that makes Wen very human. Like sometimes we end up being jerks because we are not in a good place.
Also, we're sometimes just exhausted for social things as whole, and
yes.
Just wanna close up. Let's go into our cocoon for a bit.
Yeah, what we say with our friends here, for example, I don't know, can you please unload the dishwasher? Oh no, I'm sorry, I don't have the executive points for that. Like, I already lost them to this meeting I had earlier. So it's just like real life. You sacrifice something so you can do another thing. Like, yes. As I said, the game feels really real. Like, very, very human. So
yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted to mention something that I really like the tarot team as well, because I'm such a fan of tarot in general, and I like to do readings for my friends, and how I treat tarot is that it's like a therapy, you know?
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, because the cards are not gonna tell you anything you don't know already. They're just gonna make you think harder about something that you've been putting under the rug for a while. I guess. And I really liked the way that game explained explained the tarot, because it was pretty much the same thing. And I was like, oh, someone understands me. That's so nice.
I'm glad.
Because most of the people who do tarot, they're like, oh, a code. Like, I'm going to tell you the
See
future.
your future.
Yeah, this is not how it works. It's a conversation with yourself, basically.
It's very well put.
Yeah. Very well made in the game as well.
Yes.
Thanks. We did a
Thank
lot of
you.
research.
One of the best uses of tarots I've seen in
Really?
gaming.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you.
I mean, so I also want to ask, during one of the teasers at the end of the game about what's coming up, we get shown this RPG pixelated game. Is this going to be an actual playable minigame, or is it just part of the dreamscape sequence?
So there are actually it's not a minigame. It's also not a dream. So neither of them. What happens is that since we wanted to show the nerdy lifestyle of our characters, we show them playing games.
The actual game they're working on.
Yeah, so that is like they're playing an online game. In this case, it's a parody of Ragnarok online. So, but it's a pixel. It's a 2D version we did. They also play Smash Bros, but it's a parody called Blast Bros, and we have whole scenes of they fighting inside. But it's not something you play. You just read through it. But we made something cool sprites and art for that.
Yeah.
Yes. That's why it attracted my attention, because they did look like a lot of details for something that I thought it could have been a whole mini game, honestly, just by looking at it.
Speaking of mini games, the game that Wen and his studio are working on, Healing Quest, is actually a game that you can play because it's a game Maki and
Really?
It's a game that Maki and Will made at a game jam. I think probably a simpler version than what Wen is developing, but that is something you can play if you.
Yes,
It's
if
very
you
cute. Very
yes,
cute.
if you go to the itch.io page of DragonRoll, you'll find the Healing Quest there, and you'll see that that's
I'm
where
looking it up as we speak.
the Queen Slime sprite is there, the characters are there, so you can actually play the game. In the full game, Pivot of Hearts, in the full game of Pivot of Hearts, there is actually a scene that shows gameplay from Healing Quest as well. We just didn't put that in the demo.
So part of the Pivot multiverse.
Man, I just remembered. Sorry.
I found it.
Okay, so after before I contacted you guys, I went to your page and I noticed this game and I was like scratching my head like, so it's a visual novel and then we have that? It doesn't make any sense to me. And now when you're saying it, I remembered and I was like, this is so nice. I really like when things intertwine like that, like the multiverse, as Lívia said.
Yeah, we have a
Very cute.
screenshot of it on the Steam page, I think. Yeah.
So we are talking about your projects, and specifically in Pivot of Hearts, you packed a lot into that game. So it's 100,000 words planned. Well, not planned. I bet they're ready. 5 endings, yeah, and 4 full chapters. So what was your biggest challenge when creating this game?
Writing over 100,000 words.
It was not the programming, right? It was the writing.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
go
like
ahead.
we are. This is our first commercial game, so we do not have any income from games at all. For most of the development, we had day jobs, sometimes working at other game companies, sometimes working normal, boring stuff like IT. And we could only work on Pivot of Hearts during our free time for the last 5 to 6 years. So it was very hard to finish writing everything while trying to survive. What did help and allowed us to actually finish the game is that here in Brazil we have several government grants to help foster culture and specifically games. So we won 3 different grants over the years, and those help us eventually stop our day jobs and okay, we can work, give our full attention to Pivot of Hearts and finish it once and for all. But it was a very long journey.
Actually, that's very nice that your country is supporting such things. Can't imagine anything like that here.
Yep. This is so cool that the country supports you guys, and I wish you all the best. I hope that the game succeeds because it's a great game and it deserves to be shown and to be talked about and to be popular. And also, I wish you guys that at some point this will be your permanent job and you'll be working what you love, basically making games. And yeah, this is a nice thing. Thank you for sharing this.
Thank you for the kind words.
Yeah, thank you so much
So
for reaching out.
now, yes, of course. How could we not reach out once we found it? It's just looking at it and then trying out the game for ourselves. So good.
And
We
pretty
already
as well,
mentioned-
as we mentioned.
yes.
Yeah.
We already mentioned how personal it felt like playing through the game because we've shared experience with similar to the main characters.
Well, my next question is for Maki and Lívia. What was it like shaping the tone of Pivot of Hearts through music and visuals? Like, how did you decide on the direction and what was the process, basically?
I think it was like a pretty natural fit. Like, from the beginning, when we the 3 of us met in college during different moments, but Maki kind of brought us together. But from the beginning, I think we already had a lot of common references. Like, we were all very nerdy people who were really into games and anime, and so I think we already had like a lot of common ground when we started. And as we started developing the characters and the music, I think these references just became more clear. Like we said before, a lot of anime that was popular in Brazil here, like in the 90s and in the 2000s, like Sailor Moon, Cardcaptor Sakura, Saint Seiya, stuff like that. Like that informed a lot of the visuals and sort of the general vibe. And I think as for the music, I think Maki probably has more to say on that.
Hello.
Yes.
So far, we are going, since the beginning, we started going to a direction to make like an homage to this older anime. And the music, we initially thought about going in this direction as well, like doing tracks inspired by city pop, like it's a kind of pop from Japan from the 80s and 90s that were very present in these older anime. But as we went on developing and other situations and scenes were started popping up in the game, I was thinking, but what kind of music do we hear in this kind of situation here in Brazil? So I started to research more Brazilian music, like the type of music we hear on the streets here in Brazil. So now there's like a huge, mix of genres in Pivot of Hearts. There are a lot of things present, like there's city pop, of course, but there's forró, bossa nova, sertanejo, a lot of Brazilian genres. So that's something that was cool. I got to experiment with a lot of different genres.
Brazil sounds like a very rich country. I mean, in cultural aspect. Like listening to you guys now, I know that I want to visit that country and to see for myself what the music is like, what the food is like, what the people were like.
Where would you recommend us visit?
Damn, it's a huge country.
Yeah, there's so many places. It's hard to tell, but I don't know. We are from São Paulo. It's like city,
Big city, metropolitan.
a lot of big city with a lot of buildings. But there's I don't know, the most famous tourist spot must be Rio de Janeiro, Rio de Janeiro. It's very pretty there, but it's very I don't know.
I was gonna say it's probably packed there with how many people are visiting.
Yeah, after the Lady
Yeah,
Gaga
and
concert.
a bit dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Bahia is also very beautiful. I think lots of people like to visit the Amazon rainforest and Pantanal. I mean, there's way too many places to visit, but if you guys are ever here, drop by São Paulo.
I definitely love to see the Amazon rainforest.
Same here, and I really enjoy big cities. Like I went to Athens once, and I was just mind blown how big is this city. It's just amazing. So I believe that Rio de Janeiro is gonna be like that, and it could be overwhelming. So maybe in that case, I would prefer Sao Paulo, and it's gonna be better to actually see the cultural aspect of a country in a smaller town, because in the big cities there's a lot of people, as we mentioned, there's a lot of tourists, so you can't really get in touch with the locals that much, and this is what actually matters when you're visiting a country, to me at least.
So the game launches on May 21st, so very soon. What can players expect from the complete release, and what surprises beyond the demo can they potentially expect?
Well, they can expect more dreams. They can expect actual RPG scenes. So there's a few in the trailers and the teasers. And like you said, the more like these little moments of playing Smash Bros and playing Ragnarok. So lots of cool, nerdy, geeky moments that just because we really wanted to show out these people, they really like games and they are really nerdy. That's what they do. But also I think one of the important things is that when it's passed, will become much clearer. It's very spread over the chapters, but the pieces of what happened will arrive one by one. In fact, if I remember correctly, they are even out of order, so it will be a little puzzle for the players to solve what happened in when it's passed. Yeah, more of the penny, more I don't know if you like the characters or more like Barbara shenanigans and more of Sigurd. I think like a lot of people like Sigurd.
He's great.
Yeah, so
I have a friend that kind of reminds me of him a bit.
Oh, that's actually the second time someone said that to us.
Really?
Yes. It's very funny that people keep saying, "Oh, I have a friend that is exactly like this character on Pivot of Hearts," and Sigurd is the second time that someone says that they know someone like him.
See, this is how you know your game is very down to earth and personal.
Yes. So there will be a couple new characters here and there. There are some characters that show up very little, but they are very memorable.
So I guess we can move to the important part, like. It's not the most important. The exclusive part is not like the most important part, but it's important to me because it's always very interesting to talk about exclusive content. So you guys send us a screenshot, and there's a lot of stuff going on this screenshot. Can you please tell me what's going on? Actually, is this
No, we
Queen
cannot.
Slime?
Just kidding.
Why does she look like Godzilla?
Can't tell much. We can tell a few things. Like, for instance, this street is a very famous avenue here in Brazil. It's called Paulista Avenue. It's the most important avenue here in São Paulo. So that's one thing we can tell you.
That's very interesting.
Did
Yes,
you made the CG using a real photo of the avenue?
Yes, actually, all of the backgrounds, all the outdoor backgrounds, and some of the indoors backgrounds too, are based on photos we took, and then we gave the background artists for them to draw over.
Very cool. That's very
And now
cool.
we have a slime Godzilla rampaging through the
Yeah.
streets.
An everyday
Yeah.
occurrence.
Why is that? Oh, we
We're
can't
gonna
really
see.
say.
We're gonna find out, I guess, on the 21st.
Yeah.
Yes, it's one of the most fun scenes in the game. It's very, very fun.
Okay, so
Okay.
no
Very
spoilers then.
exciting. Yeah, we're gonna see.
Okay, so before we say goodbye, do you have anything you want to tell directly to our listeners?
Well, I hope you really like Pivot of Hearts. Give it a try. If you're not sure, play the demo. Oregon Lovers Land seem to have enjoyed a lot, so maybe it will convince you to try the full game when it comes out. Yeah, I think that's it. We just really hope that when you play, you can get to understand the characters and get in their shoes, and face this hard conversation that is non-monogamy, and take it seriously. Like, don't dismiss it as just like, I don't know, maybe some people treat it as a kink, some people treat it as a fad. So just give it some serious thought. Listen to the characters, see what they're struggling with, and I don't know. Play it, give it a chance.
Yeah, for me, I'd say I hope you all like the soundtrack. I made it with a lot of care, and yeah, I hope you have fun.
Hi. Okay.
Do you have any final words for our listeners?
Yeah, like Maki and Will said, I hope people will open their hearts to Pivot and maybe learn a couple of new things about Brazil that maybe you haven't heard of before. Like, everyone's heard of Carnival, but we show some other celebrations like Festa Junina, which is like a really fun thing that's coming up next month. So yeah, I just hope people will connect with the game and see all that's familiar, but also I guess learn new things and open up to new ideas and stuff. Yeah, I think that's it. Please wish list and play the game when it comes out.
Thank you very much, Lívia and DragonRoll Studio guys. You were just the sweetest. Thank you very much for joining us. It's been a true joy to explore the world of Pivot of Hearts with you.
And to our listeners, download the demo, wishlist the game, and follow DragonRoll Studios for updates. We'll be watching the cards fall on May 21st.
Yay!
Until next time, take care and let your heart guide your next move.